Morning intuitives, and tomorrow's Samhain, and it's a big day for witches, and a lot of people enjoy Halloween parties as well. Sadly, while I've recently been invited to, quite a exclusive one up in New York through friends of mine, I, in good conscience, can't go because I have committed myself well over a month ago to a coven Samhain ritual. And since I gave my word and, I can party any day, really, I can only do a Samhain ritual on Samhain, and it is our biggest holiday. Why do I mention this? Because this is going to be a narcissistic tactic video, and the coven ritual I'm doing in is sort of a hex slash karma slash revenge spell for dozens of narcissists that the 13 witches taking part in this ritual are going to hex. So, and narcissists deserve it. Yeah, there's some that I've been waiting years to karma to catch up with them. Anyway, narcissistic tactics. Haven't done one of these in a while. In these videos, I try to explain certain tactics that narcissists use against their black sheep scapegoat or whatever, and basically remind you that no matter what the narcissist tactic is, remember, you can't argue with it, you can't reason with it, you're not allowed to be right. The narcissist wants what it wants, and in their mind, they see whatever they have to do to get their end game, they're going to do it, and the rules don't apply to them. We know this. Ollie Matthews and many others have stated this over and over again in their narcissism videos, long before I ever did. But the narcissist tactic I want to talk about today is vilifying the target, blaming the victim. Common tactic among narcissists because, as I said, in the eyes of a lot of narcs, they believe they can do no wrong. Like, whatever they're doing, the very act that they're the ones doing it justifies it. And this could be justified in many reasons. Workplace, obviously, we talked about the boss on a power trip who thinks that, their title allows them to essentially be this unfallible, divine right of king stuff. I thought that, absolute power thing kind of got kneecapped way back in Magna Carta. But alas, some people, I guess, still don't get the message all these centuries later. It can be in a relationship. The narcissistic partner will, have such an overinflated opinion of themselves and believe that, no matter what they do to you, it's justified because you, the target, are just supposed to be so lucky to have had them because, of course, the narcissist believes that no one is good enough for them and they always settle, and the fact that they settled for you should be considered a high honor. Parents as well, because they believe that they can do no wrong, that you're lucky to have been born to them. This is particularly true of baby boomer parents, because a lot of baby boomers, not saying you're all narcissists, but baby boomers that happen to be narcissists do kind of tend to have this groupthink mentality, at least the ones here in Chester County, that they're like the chosen people. As I said before, like they're the Anunnaki returned, or they're the Olympians returned, that, manifest destiny and all that kind of stuff, regardless of their actions. It's just, we were born to be princes of the universe. Queen reference. But from Highlander, very, very good movie and series, by the way. But this is not the case, and things you need to look out for of how the narcissist will vilify you or blame the victim. First and foremost, if you speak out. Narcissists typically target people that can't say no, that aren't going to speak out, that are just going to kind of roll with the abuse and go, well, it can be worse, this and that. But if you catch them, sometimes they push somebody too far to where they speak out, or, and this is a lot of the case when narcissists go after INFJs, they think because of our introversion that we're not going to speak out, but our sense of integrity and doing the right thing will overcome that introversion. It could also bring the fury, the INFJ fury. I don't like that. Nobody does. Well, actually, I've known a few people that are aroused by it over the years. It's interesting. Anyway, back to my point. When you stand up to a narcissist, they will vilify you because, as I said, they believe that they can do no wrong and they have every right and justification to do what they're doing to you because they're them and you're you. So, and this is more true with borderlines. Borderline, they usually get their way by sheer will and freak outs and all that. So, a borderline can do that to you dozens of times, scream, holler, throw shit, break shit, maybe even be physically violent. But the first time you scream back at them, you're the one with the problem because how dare you speak to them like that? You get it? You see where the double standards come in? So they'll try to project, because we talked about projection in another narcissist tactic video, their problems with rage and not getting their way on you, when in reality, you, the target, all that you're doing is standing up for yourself and calling them out, because they're the ones who start screaming, you scream back, and you're like, you can essentially pick apart their argument in less than a minute, either by stating how they're exerting authority they don't have, whether they're exerting some form of double standard, whether they're contradicting something they said recently, or if they're flat out lying. All these, a narcissist will go through all that without blinking an eye, because again, in their mind, it doesn't matter. If they say it, it's by definition true, and it doesn't matter, the actual veracity of their claims. It's I'm right, you're wrong, you're not allowed to be right. No, there's not, no matter how much proof exists, I'm me, you're you, now bow to my every whim, kind of thing. And they will, try to label you as the problem. This has happened to me in the past, where you're the one standing up to the narcissist who has a lot of flying monkeys, has a lot of enablers. And mind you, when that's why I do these videos, because when I was vilified standing up to a narcissist, I didn't know at the time the person was a narcissist. I didn't know what a narcissist was. I just knew that there was something wrong there, and somebody had to be the one to call it out. And, here goes my INFJ hero complex. We'll talk about that another time, because a lot of INFJs have it, and I definitely do. No matter how much I try to escape it, my wickedness will not eclipse it. But, so you call out the narcissist, and they try to convince everybody that you're the problem. Now, why would they do that? Well, the reason why a narcissist is going to vilify you is they're going that far. They see you as a threat. They know you know. They know you, the one calling them out, have the truth. And that truth can blow up their spot, can blow up their status quo, blow up their control, perhaps cost them some of the people that they're getting their narcissistic supply from. And of course, the biggest one is rip that mask off for everybody to see. Because if you keep calling somebody out constantly and they can't defend their actions or whatever they're saying, eventually people are going to catch on. Because, it's one thing to get caught off guard by somebody once or twice and not have an answer. If it's every time and you're just trying to justify your actions through sheer will and rage, it's not going to fly. People are going to see. Yeah. Plus, the more you call out a narcissist, the more desperate, the more agitated they get, the more aggressive they get. Like, you get them in that panic, like this, as if things are falling apart. They get more desperate. They come at you with more fury. They'll come at you for basically no reason at all, just for existing, in their proximity, because they know at that point that if you called them out more than a couple times, that A, they can't control you, that B, whatever authority they're claiming is bullshit, and C, they know you're coming for them. Like at that point, they're like, I'm gonna expose you, and the only recourse they have at that time is to invalidate you. And the easiest way to invalidate somebody, who's trying to call out a narcissist, is to try to project on them and make that person the villain, make them seem as the problem. And a lot of times, depending on, the situation you're in, this could work for the narcissist, particularly if the person trying to call them out, is sort of an introverty, eccentric, outcasty INFJ person, because the narcissist will thrive in that group and controls that group and controls the narrative in that group, whereas the INFJ spends a lot of time alone. The INFJ doesn't know what's being said when they are not around, and things can change. People's opinions can change, and you'll wonder why. I'm trying to remember because this is back in Toronto days, the story I'm talking about. So people's opinions will change when you're being vilified by a narcissist, and you'll be like, what did I do? And you won't be able to figure it out because it's just a smear campaign. It's a spin campaign. But the narcissist will overplay their hand. They will. Because eventually, when you're being vilified by a narcissist, and this is a good sign to pay attention for if you think this is what's happening, people's opinions of you will change rapidly for no reason. There'll be no thing you can point to as to what you did, what you said, why is this happening to me? It'll be maddening. You won't be able to figure it out. But the narcissist will revel in that because now, once again, you, the person who was calling them out, is now being used as a source of supply. And because they can't help themselves, they'll twist a knife in you. They'll say something to you, and they'll expose their hand. Then you know. Then you know what's going on, and you have a choice to make. Do you run the fuck away from that situation, or you're going to go all hero complex and be like, fuck it, all in, and really try to expose that person, which could very well end poorly for you because now the situation you're in is you're vilified. A good example for those of you in the narcissistic abuse community, to relate to what I'm trying to say, because these words aren't coming out just right, is how Ollie Matthews, we all know Ollie Matthews, spoke about how when he was, getting his divorce and his parents were manipulating things behind the scenes, he had to get out of New Jersey because his parents essentially wanted to railroad him into being put in a police car. And this was all simply for the crime of him getting a divorce. Yeah. So that's an example of the narcissist who's, the one actually pulling the strings. In his case, it was his father, he said, will try to make you the problem, will try to vilify you because you're the one who's disrupting, destroying their precious status quo that they get their supply from. You got to be careful when you're at this point. If you've been vilified, you got a target on your back. Even people who you've helped, who used to trust you, may be a little leery around you simply because the narcissist has put everything they have into this smear campaign to preserve their status quo, to preserve their narcissistic supply, to preserve their seat of power. Now, those of us that know about narcissistic abuse would notice, like, the narcissist being much more easily agitated and paranoid at this moment because, if you're in their mind, if the narcissist truly believes that they're doing the right thing and they're the ones being wronged, why are they so agitated and on edge as if someone's going to rip their mask off at any moment? But you, the target, if you're going to keep going after you've been vilified, you have to be very tactful. You have to be very good at maintaining a very even temper because the narcissist is going to try to get you to rage out and scream back. That's what they want. Because remember, when they do it, it's okay because they're them. If you yell at them, you're bad and evil and the devil. So you have to be very careful about that. Stick to facts and logics. I recommend you just remove yourself from this situation. But I know some of you listening are like, no. I got to finish what I started. Yeah, I've been there, done that too. So when you're being vilified by a narcissist, when they're using this tactic on you, notice that it is an endgame tactic to where one of two things is going down. Either you are going to expose them, which is certainly the harder, especially depending on the situation, especially if this is like a narc that has other narcs subservient to them or flying monkeys or enablers. It all depends on how much of an outsider you are compared to the narc. Some narcs are already half exposed when they try to do this, and people already know, but they just don't want to be the one to say anything. And people are trying to rally somebody to call this person out, but they don't want to be the ones to do it because, retaliation, that kind of thing. Yeah, I was in that situation in Arlington. Yeah, yeah. That was, so the victim will be blamed. How do I want to phrase this? And the other solution is get the hell out of that situation. Go no contact. Door slam. Just you can't do anymore. There's certain situations where if people don't want to accept the truth about a narcissist and how toxic the environment they control is and have resigned themselves to that fate, you just got to get out of there. Save yourself before the narcissist completely drags you down, because they're, even if like you stop trying to call them out, you're always going to be a target because they know you're a threat. They know you see through them. You have in the past called them out. So they don't, they're going to think, because narcissists are always thinking someone's out to get them. Like, what are they plotting? What are they doing? Like, could this all blow up soon? I have to like completely destroy this person's credibility. Yeah. So that is a little, tactic that is used by narcissists in crisis when they're in an endgame type situation. When the black sheep or the target that is attempting to call the narcissist out is gaining ground, know that that's the other frustrating thing about this. When you're like, well, maybe I should walk away. Well, when you see the narcissist getting agitated and coming at you more for every little thing, you're like, I'm winning. You're gaining ground against them. You've done damage. You've done damage. So you want to finish what you started. And essentially it is the right thing to do, but you have to think about the cost that it's going to be for you. As I said, vilification can continue to haunt you, particularly whatever your situation is, where you live. If it's an area big on reputations, it could cause problems for you down the road, especially when you consider who this narc is, how entrenched they are in the community, how many people they've fooled. Is the community big on, legacies, as if they're like princes and dukes and all that? Man, yeah, it's something you have to take into consideration. Do your own risk analysis before you take your tactics. At the end of the day, whatever you decide to do is your decision. You decide what's worth paying the price for. But just want you to be aware of this narcissistic tactic and know that if you decide to keep pushing and calling them out, they're going to throw everything they have at you. They're going to throw everything they have at you. They're going to turn people against you. If it's a job thing, they're going to try to get you fired. In my case, a test was rigged for me to magically fail by them breaking the rules. And even though me and others reported this the day it happened, it was swept under the rug. So there's all kinds of things that can happen when you're in this narcissist endgame scenario where the narcissist is vilifying you. Be cautious of it. Be aware of it. Talk to people you trust. Plan. Do not act on raw emotions if you are going to decide to keep calling this narc out. You decide you have to decide for yourself what's worth fighting for and what's worth standing your ground for. But do not go at it alone, because maybe your head's not thinking clearly. You're being the main target of a narcissist and they're being relentless and they're turning people against you, your head may not be in the best place. So keep that in mind, and remember, trust your intuition, whether to stand and fight or to run today, to live to fight another day. And don't sell out your integrity to try to keep from being vilified. If you're being vilified for no good reason, you decide your best recourse.